You've probably heard it a million times: get your 8 hours of sleep. It's the golden rule of productivity, right? But what if hitting that magic number isn't the whole story? What if the very thing you're chasing is actually a rigid, outdated idea that's holding you back? For decades, we've treated 8 hours as a non-negotiable deadline, feeling like failures when we can't meet it. But this one-size-fits-all prescription is a relic. In this video, we're going to look at where that number came from, and why it might not be the right number for you. We'll explore how this idea is tied to an equally flawed concept of the workday, and what you can do, starting tonight, to finally get the rest and energy you actually need. To figure out why we're so obsessed with the number 8, we have to travel back in time. Not to a sleep lab, but to the noisy factories of the Industrial Revolution. Back then, it wasn't unusual for people to work 14 or even 16-hour days. Conditions were awful, and labor movements needed a simple, powerful rallying cry. They came up with a stroke of genius: 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will. Let that sink in for a second. The 8-hour sleep standard wasn't a number handed down from a sleep scientist. It was a slogan from the picket lines. It was a landmark social reform designed to give workers a humane schedule, not a biological prescription. Before industrial work schedules, sleep was much more flexible. Historians have found that for centuries, many people had biphasic sleep. They'd sleep for a few hours, wake up for an hour or two in the middle of the night to think, pray, or spend time with family, and then go back for a second sleep. That quiet period of wakefulness was a totally normal part of the night. The pressure to get one solid, uninterrupted block of sleep is a modern side effect of a culture that demanded factory-like efficiency from everyone. So, that anxiety you feel when you wake up at 3 a.m.? It might not be a sign of a sleep disorder. It could just be an echo of your body's natural rhythm clashing with a modern rulebook. The biggest problem with the rigid 8-hour rule is that it ignores the most important person in the equation: you. Modern sleep science makes it crystal clear that sleep needs are incredibly personal. While major health organizations recommend a range of 7 to 9 hours for most adults, that's a broad, statistical average, not a mandate. Think of it like shoe size. Telling everyone to wear a size 9 shoe would be ridiculous. In the same way, telling everyone they need exactly 8 hours of sleep ignores our biological diversity. Your ideal sleep time is determined by a whole cocktail of factors. Genetics plays a part. An extremely small number of people have a gene mutation that lets them thrive on just 4-6 hours of sleep, but for the vast majority of us who try that, it backfires. Age is also a huge factor. A teenager needs more sleep than a retiree because their brain is still under construction. Your lifestyle, how much you exercise, your stress levels, it all moves the needle. The best way to find your ideal sleep duration isn't by staring at the clock, but by listening to your body. How do you feel when you wake up without an alarm? The goal isn't to hit an arbitrary number, it's to get the amount of sleep that lets you feel restored and ready to tackle your day. For you, that might be 7.25 hours. For someone else, it might be 8.5. The number itself doesn't matter as much as the outcome. Our obsession with the 8-hour number has created a dangerous blind spot. We forget that quality is just as important as quantity. You can be in bed for 8, 9, or even 10 hours and still wake up feeling like you've been hit by a bus if the quality of your sleep was terrible. It's like eating 2,000 calories of junk food. You hit your calorie goal, but you starved your body of the nutrients it actually needs. High-quality sleep is all about spending enough time in the most restorative stages: deep sleep and REM sleep. Deep sleep is for your body. It's when you repair muscles, strengthen your immune system, and literally wash waste products out of your brain. REM sleep is for your mind. It's when you dream, process emotions, and lock in memories and skills. If your 8 hours of sleep are constantly interrupted by noise, light, or a racing mind, you're not getting enough of those crucial stages. This is why most research shows that both quality and adequate duration are essential. 6.5 hours of solid, high-quality sleep will almost always feel better than 8 hours of restless tossing and turning. The key isn't just to get more sleep, but to make the sleep you get more efficient and restorative. The 8-hour sleep myth has a toxic cousin, the 8-hour workday. We're taught that hours logged at a desk equal results. But just like with sleep, that's an industrial-era idea that modern science has pretty much dismantled. Now, this next stat might sound wild, and it comes from a UK survey where people reported on their own habits, but it's eye-opening. One study found that the average office worker feels they are truly productive for just under 3 hours in an 8-hour day. The rest of that time gets eaten up by distractions, social media, and just fighting off mental fatigue. Our brains simply aren't built for 8 straight hours of intense focus. Research from Stanford University revealed that productivity tanks after about 50 hours of work in a week, and basically falls off a cliff after 55 hours. Someone working 70 hours often produces the same amount as someone working 55, those extra 15 hours are just a recipe for burnout. Real productivity isn't a marathon, it's a series of sprints. The most effective people tend to work in hyper-focused bursts of 4-5 hours a day, and then they let their brains properly rest and recover. They know that rest isn't the opposite of work, it's a vital part of the process. Hustle culture doesn't make you a hero, it just makes you tired and less effective. So you burn the midnight oil all week, convinced you'll catch up on sleep over the weekend. We've all been there. It feels like a smart way to pay off your sleep debt, but the science shows it's not the perfect fix we want it to be. Sleeping in on Saturday might help you feel less like a zombie, but it doesn't magically undo all the damage. Key brain functions, like your attention span and decision-making skills, don't just bounce back after a couple of long nights. Think of it this way, a week of bad sleep is like letting your house get trashed. Sleeping in on the weekend is like tidying up the living room, it looks better, but the kitchen is still a disaster. That said, it's better than nothing. Some recent studies suggest that for certain long-term health risks, weekend catch-up sleep might offer some protective benefits compared to just staying sleep-deprived. So think of it as a temporary patch, not a long-term strategy. It's a decent backup plan, but no substitute for getting consistently good rest throughout the week. Getting away from the 8-hour myth isn't about finding a new magic number. It's about shifting from a rigid, clock-based mindset to a flexible, biology-based one. First, run a little experiment on yourself. The next time you have a week off, try going to bed when you feel tired and waking up naturally, without an alarm. Jot down how many hours you slept and how you felt. After a few days, you'll start to see your natural sleep baseline emerge. That's your number. Second, focus on sleep quality. This is all about good sleep hygiene. Make your bedroom a cave, cool, dark, and quiet. Power down screens at least an hour before bed, the blue light messes with your sleep hormones. Start a relaxing wind-down routine, like reading a book or light stretching. And most importantly, try to wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This sets your internal body clock, making everything else easier. Third, redesign your workday around energy, not hours. Instead of an 8-hour slog, try working in focused 90-minute blocks with short breaks. Aim for 2-4 of these deep work sessions a day. You'll be amazed by what you can accomplish in 4 hours of true focus versus 8 hours of distraction. Finally, learn to see rest as a skill. It's not laziness, it's a biological requirement for peak performance. That means taking real breaks during the day and having a firm, off switch, at the end of your workday to protect your personal time. The 8-hour sleep rule is a slogan from a different time, born from factory whistles, not modern science. The path to feeling and performing your best isn't about chaining yourself to a clock. It's about understanding that your needs are unique, that quality is essential, and that real productivity comes from working with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. So, stop chasing a number and start listening to your body. What's one change you're going to try with your sleep or work routine after hearing this? Drop a comment below. I read them all and I'd love to hear what you're going to put into practice. And if this video gave you a new perspective, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be exploring even more ways to work smarter, not harder.